Welcome to the morning show.
Yeah.
The Big Show with Glenn and Angel on Kiss 92.
Good morning.
Sometimes getting out of bed in the morning is a lot to deal with all at once.
Good morning, Singapore, and welcome to The Big Show and The Big Show TV. She is back. We managed to get her back on the show, and hopefully she'll be with us almost every Friday. Kelly Tay from Juicy Parenting, welcome back.
Hello, thanks for having me back.
Anytime, Kelly. This is Tim, by the way.
Nice to
No
meet
Angel
you.
today.
Nice
All
to
right.
meet you.
Now, forgive me. I'm sure that at some point this was covered already. But
Okay.
why juicy parenting?
This was not covered actually.
Oh, it wasn't?
No,
Okay.
we didn't ask Kelly that.
So I guess the parenting part was very, very intentional. I didn't want this just to be about mums.
Yep.
I wanted dads to be on board as well. So the parenting part. And then the juicy.
Yep.
Number one, I wanted something that would stick. People are just like, that's a weird name, but I remember it.
Ah, okay.
That's in part. And
Yep.
then the other part of it is, the idea of juiciness is like, parenting is kind of like squeezing a lemon almost.
There are times my
it's-
son acts up and I want to squeeze the juice out of him.
But like lemon specifically,
Yeah,
my
yeah,
logo
yeah.
is a little lemon slice, and the idea is that parenting is not always sweet. There are some sour moments as well.
Yes.
But if we can extract the goodness, then there's actually a lot to be had, and there's a lot of
Absolutely.
fun to be had as well.
Oh.
So that's the idea.
Yeah, great story. Yeah.
Last week you had Parenting Week.
Yes, Asian Parent Week.
How was that?
It was great. It was really, really great. It was a lot of fun. We had lots of people attend. And I think for me, the nicest part was people coming back saying that at the end of 5 days, just 5 days, saying I've been struggling with diaper changing for like months. My kid used to scream and cry and throw a tantrum. And today it was just giggling all the way. And just hearing that, it's like, things don't have to be so hard. You can have a connected moment.
I remember. I remember that part. Early days, diaper changing. I struggled with that, and then one day I found the perfect formula.
Yeah.
It came down to just, darling, you will be in charge of diaper changing from now on, and I left it to Sabrina.
And we're
after
talking
that,
about
I was great.
disposable diapers.
Yes.
Oh.
Yeah.
I thought that's so much easier than like
Cloth diapering.
cloth diapers, right?
Yeah, but it's the act of putting it on. So kids become like little alligators and they want to like squirm away.
Oh,
yeah,
wow.
it's not. I mean, caregiving is hard, People think it's easy, it's just slapping on a diaper. But if you think about it from the kid's point of view, it's one of the most vulnerable moments
Yes.
because they're naked. Someone else is caring for them, touching them at very intimate areas. And the more we try and rush through it, the more they want to squirm away. But if we can make it a moment of connection, and of fun and
Yes.
deep meaning for them, then it's not just a diaper change, and it goes by very nicely, actually.
Yeah.
Right.
You need to be slow and steady when you do that.
Oh, wow.
Because sometimes when you're too fast, stuff falls out.
There is that. No one wants that.
Okay, let's continue to talk to Kelly on The Big Show TV. Here's David with Feel It on Kiss 92. Yeah, so we've had like text messages the last time you came on, and a text message from my friend who said, can we have Kelly on more often? And Fridays are perfect because we struggle with our kids over the weekends, so maybe we'll get tips. I'm like, yeah, okay, let's see what we can do.
Like a little bit of injection just before the weekend.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
Just to
nice.
give them that confidence boost, like we can survive.
Thank you.
Okay, so you've got a question for Kelly. Remember we're talking about when kids ask questions and all that.
Oh, yes. So I was confessing to them yesterday that there are days where, because, kids, they go through that question phase,
Yes.
right? Where everything is, it's not just they ask, you give them answers. Why? It's like, why is there a rainbow in the sky? Or because, of the atmosphere, the colors,
Yeah.
Why is it like that? And you just go on and on and on and on and on. I've reached the point where sometimes I just say it's magic. Just so
He
that
cracked me up though when he said that.
just the other day, right? We were talking about a producer, Shalini, right? And he was like, who is this? And I was like, oh, this is Shalini. You remember, you went to her house for Deepavali, right? And then he went, oh, which is the picture? So I had to show a picture,
Yeah.
right? And she was like, oh, which one is Shalini? And I said, she's the Indian standing next to me. And he goes, why is she Indian? How do you answer a question like that?
There, that's why
How
Kelly
do you
is
answer
here.
a question? So in
I
times like
couldn't,
that,
I-
I'll be like, she won a contest. Or one day she woke up and decided, because it's like, I don't know how. I don't know how to answer. And I'm hoping that if I give him ridiculous enough answers, he will start thinking for himself. Because half the time you don't know whether they've just kind of gotten into the habit of just asking for the sake of asking,
Right.
you know, or they really don't know.
Right.
And I want to give him enough of an opportunity to start thinking for himself
Right.
to
Yep.
come up to his conclusion.
I was
Yeah.
telling Tim, I would have told Charlie, you know what? I would have asked him, like, why are you Chinese?
Yeah. So from now on, next time if he asks, I'll be like, you ask your Uncle Glenn, okay? I'll put him on the phone, you ask him whatever question.
No. What does Kelly think?
First of all, I'm noticing a pattern.
Yes.
Don't know, delegate. To
Yes,
your wife,
absolutely.
to Uncle Glenn.
Right. Yeah. Delegate to the more credible sources.
I mean, I think with questions, number one, it's important to realize that it's a major point of connection between your child and you. For you, it may be just another conversation.
Yep.
But for your child, it's like, wow, Papa's my favorite person. What does he think? You know, there's a bit of that.
Yep.
And then there's also just the natural curiosity of kids, because I said this last time, the little scientists.
Yeah.
They really want to kind of understand the world. You know, we've been around for decades.
Yeah.
But our kids have been around for, you know, however many years. And that's a fraction of the time we've been on.
Yes.
And so for them, everything is, whoa, wait, why is she Indian? You know?
Yeah.
So I think you're right to go with the impulse of like, well, you know, how about you tell me what you think? So maybe next time, a nice way to answer is like, well, what do you think?
Yeah.
And then just pausing and just seeing, he may give you a legit answer, he may give you some nonsense answer.
Yeah,
And if he
yeah.
gives you the nonsense answer, you kind of know this is a bid for connection and
Yeah,
attention.
yeah.
So that's okay, just carry on the conversation.
Because you also don't want them to start becoming too lazy to think for themselves as well.
No, for
right?
sure. And
Yeah.
and actually, kids don't. They are actually so curious, and
Yeah.
their impulse is to ask. And what we don't want to do is shut down that impulse and that curiosity. And actually, what does is when we start, you know, being like, stop asking so many questions, lah,
Yeah.
it's just like that, lah, you know.
Yes, yes.
That kind of thing does shut down that kind of drive to, I want to find out more.
Yeah.
So take it seriously and
Oh.
also ask them, what do you think?
Yeah.
And
I was just thinking of my father growing up. His favorite answer
my
to all
God.
my questions were, because I said so.
Yeah, we were shut down all the
yeah,
time.
Yeah, yeah.
you
yeah.
know. But Charlie is a little scientist.
Yeah, he is. And actually, every child is. Every child is. If given the chance, they will continue to flourish that way. And the things that we don't like in childhood, we actually love as an adult. You know,
Yeah,
we
yeah.
want them to be curious and to ask these deeper questions. And, you know, as for why is she Indian?
Yeah.
You know, a lot of times kids are actually noticing a visual difference.
Yep.
Right? And so the question could then be, well, are you asking about her skin color?
Yep.
Why maybe she is darker? And then maybe the answer is just a very factual, yeah, because she has more melanin. Melanin
Yeah.
is what makes our skin tone look different.
Yeah, but you see, the thing is, once you start on that path,
What is melanin,
right?
Papa?
Exactly, you're down this rabbit hole, right? You know, genetics. What is genetics? I'm like, and this is why sometimes I admit I'm a little lazy, and I will just go because it's magic, right?
Right.
Because I don't have all the other bits of information with me to give him a proper answer for a 6 or 7 year old.
Yes.
But at the same time, even if I did have those answers, I don't know if you really understand.
Right.
Do you know what I mean?
Well, you know, in my book, if they're already asking,
Yeah.
they probably will understand. If they have the knowledge to ask, hey, this is deeper thing I want to find out
Yeah.
about,
Yeah.
it's a good chance to just be like, okay, here's the answer. What do you think?
Or let's go to the library and you can find out.
Right.
Yeah, yeah.
But maybe when Charlie asked why is she Indian? He was not talking about you know, the color of her skin.
Yeah.
You know, it was just about the race. So
Yeah,
maybe
yeah,
maybe
yeah,
could
yeah.
we then go into a conversation about the different races we have here
Yeah,
yeah,
100%.
in Singapore,
Which is stuff
right?
that they're eventually going to start covering in social studies and all that in school, right?
Oh, want to give him a head, a head
A head
start.
start, is it? Okay. Yeah. And I mean, I found that question kind of odd because he's got many different friends of different races as well. And I'm like,
Is he familiar with like?
Yes, yeah,
Okay.
he is, right? So I'm like, do you go to Hector and ask him why he's? You don't, right? You just accept. So this is what I mean. A lot of times when he's asking questions, I don't know if he's just gotten into the habit just to ask for the sake of asking, or if
Right.
he's really curious about something.
I would take it as he's really
Yeah?
curious.
Okay.
Yeah, always start with the best, like seeing the best in your kid. Because
Yeah.
if you don't, who's going to?
That's true.
Right.
Good point.
And you know, Kelly is an Asian parenting expert. I mean, if you follow her on Instagram and all, you'll see it, in the bio. And for the benefit of Tim and maybe people who are tuning in for the very first time, is there a difference between Asian parents and other parents?
Yeah, man, loaded question.
Okay, good. I'll ask you that question again when we go on air. Stand
Okay.
by.
Kiss 92 traffic.
On the TPE towards the PIE, heavy traffic between the KPE exit and Pasir Ris Drive 8. AYE towards Tuas, slow between Jurong Town Hall and Jurong Port Road. On the CTE towards AYE, heavy traffic at Bradle Road exit. And if you give me just an itty bitty to do a quick refresh, I can let you know that on the ECP towards Changi Airport, a vehicle is broken down before Fort Road exit.
Welcome back to The Big Show and The Big Show TV. We are so happy to have Kelly Tay on the show once again. You can follow her on Instagram at juicy.parenting. Welcome back, Kelly.
Thank you.
All right, now, Kelly, you specialize in Asian parenting. Now, what's the difference between Asian parenting and all the other parenting?
Yeah, let's start with the good. I think Asian parents are really phenomenal at providing for their kids when it comes to physical safety, physical needs, financial needs, academic needs. We're really great at that. What we're not so great at is the emotional provision. So when it comes to helping kids say it's okay to express your emotions and how do you process these emotions, we're not so available for those moments. And that's the part that I'm trying to shift, because I think that Asian parents are really phenomenal. We do everything for our kids and we're willing to drop so much. I mean, you know this, Tim.
Yep.
You will do anything for Charlie, right?
Absolutely.
And now imagine if you combine that with all the academic provision, physical provision, financial provision, with also emotional availability.
Right.
My goodness, how powerful would Asian kids be?
Yep.
And so I think that that's where I'm trying to shift things. And I don't think it's as simple as saying, well, Western parenting has all the answers. It's not true. There are many Western parents who beat their kids. There are many Western parents who are not emotionally available. But I specialize in Asian parents because I just think there's so much potential. And I mean, it's where I'm from, it's what I know, and my heart is here. And all my clients, I'm like, I love you all. I love you all, Juicy Parenting members. But I really love your kids. I do this because I love kids, and I think that Asian kids deserve better parents.
Do you think that we still have a ways to go in that direction? Because I'll give you an example, right? I mean, as a parent, right? A lot of times, perhaps I'm not quite as emotionally available. I try with my child, but obviously because we draw from our own personal experiences, right? And in many ways, our parents were probably way harder on us, right? So I always use that as a comparison. I'm like, you know what? I mean, as hard, and I tell Sabrina this, as hard as you think I am, my dad was even harder on me. So I'm already much softer as compared to how I was raised. So then I should be perfect. And she'd be like, maybe you shouldn't use that as a basis of comparison in that case. And I suppose that's the reason why I'm asking. I mean, yes, slowly a shift is beginning to happen. Is there quite a ways to go in general based on your observations?
Yes, I think there is a ways to go. In Singapore, we're still talking about, go to the mama shop and buy whatever cane you want to buy. It's still like, choose which cane you want to be hit by. And for me, I don't think there is, at Asian Parent Week, there was a question. When is it okay to cane your kids? And for me, it was really like, oh gosh, in my book, never. Because if we switch the word kid to wife, when is it okay to cane my wife? God, never.
I agree. Now I feel like never. I agree with Kelly. There was one time where I felt like, kids deserve to be smacked.
Same.
You know what I mean? But now, thinking about it, times have changed, and it's like a clear no for me as well.
Okay.
What about you, Tim?
Would you?
Would I?
Do you have a cane at home?
Yes, I do.
Oh.
I didn't go out and buy one. I inherited a cane. Right? I inherited a cane from a family member, right? And I'll admit, very, very rarely.
Yeah.
Okay, very, very rarely, I have had to take out the cane.
Right.
Okay, clearly nowhere as frequently as I experienced growing up. But I think from a parent's perspective, right? We always hear, okay, not good to cane your child. But we are not really made aware so much to the what are the alternatives, okay, because we want to correct their behavior. It's one thing to say, all right, if you want to correct your behavior, your children's behavior, don't cane them, but what should we do,
Yes.
as an alternative to get the result that you're looking to get? And I think maybe those options and those alternatives are not quite as readily available or made known, okay, as they
100%.
should be.
Yeah, that's definitely what I see in my work too with my clients, that ultimately it doesn't feel good to cane, right?
Yes.
You didn't like it.
No.
You don't want to do it.
Yeah.
And what I'm hearing from you is basically, I don't want to do this thing.
No.
But I just don't know what the alternative is.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just want to raise a good kid, but I don't know how without this thing.
Absolutely. And I mean, especially for me, right? Okay, I was a naughty kid. my dad was very strict. I remember what it was like to be caned, right? Every time I hold the cane, even before I raise it up, I already remember how it felt, right? And I always try to keep that in mind. I
Yeah.
don't think it should ever become easy to cane your child, and I don't think you should ever forget how it felt, when you were caned, right? And this way, because I think in many cases, it's people who forget that it becomes too easy for them. Then
Yeah.
at everything that goes wrong, your instinct is to straight away reach for the cane, and you don't even moderate at what kind of pressure, at what kind of strength you're using, when you're hitting that stroke. But like I mentioned, what are the alternatives?
Okay, let's use you as a case study if you don't
Okay.
mind.
All right.
Okay,
Shall we-
let's do that on the Big Show
Okay.
TV. We're with Kelly Tay. The time is 8:22.
Kiss 92 time check by Pooh Tian.
Okay.
Okay,
All right.
so let's use you as a case study.
Okay.
If you think back on your childhood when you were caned,
Yeah.
give me an example. What were you caned for?
Talking back.
Okay.
Talking back. That was a big thing. So
Yeah.
you cannot be rude. You can raise your voice to your parents. Cannot talk back. Cannot throw tantrum. Right. And I mean, behavioral issues.
Yeah. And so, what if instead of wielding the cane when you talked back, your dad, instead of flying to a rage, just paused for a second, maybe calmed himself down,
Yes.
and said, "Hey, what's going on? This doesn't sound like you. What's going on?"
Okay.
What would that have meant to you as a kid?
I don't know if I would have been quite as eloquent to be able to express myself clearly at that age, to be able to, deep dive into, I'm just feeling really bad today. Or, because, I mean, let's face it, kids at that age may not have the expressive, the skills to express themselves properly, to accurately describe what they're going through, right? And I think to some degree, maybe that also lends to their frustrations as well, because they don't have the words to express how they feel.
So maybe, what if your dad had not said, "Hey, what's going on with you?" But maybe just as the adult was like, "Okay, I can see you're speaking this way. Something is going on. It doesn't feel so good
Yeah.
for you. I believe you." And he started there.
Yeah.
Would you immediately feel like, okay, at least someone's on my team. Someone gets that. I don't really want to act out this way, but like you said, I'm
Yeah.
just not feeling good today.
No, I suppose over time, I can easily see that would have been an easier pill to swallow.
And let's say after that, he then said something like, "Okay, that's really not okay with me, the way you spoke to me.
Yeah.
I get that you're having a hard day. I'm going to help you learn skills to say it in a different way.
Yeah.
This is how you could have said it instead."
Right.
Do you feel that maybe you would have been set up a little bit more for success because you learned what to say instead versus just being shut down? Like, okay, don't talk to me that way. The cane's coming out.
Yeah, I suppose. I guess. Yeah.
You come across as a talkative kid, actually. A little scientist back in the day. And
No lah,
you
but I mean, at that-
speaking like this as well to your parents.
I mean, at that
I get that
age, right, when
impression.
you're like, 6 years old or something
Yeah.
like that, you may not have the words to describe
Yeah.
it. Like I said, very different times when we were growing up, right? Sometimes you look
Yeah.
at your parents wrong already,
Yeah.
right?
So I think many of my friends, I think in terms of like parenting, right? I mean, no one's trained at parenting.
Yes.
They usually go with how they were brought up and they'll modify it a little bit.
Yeah.
Like what you mentioned
Yeah.
earlier on. So I guess my question for you, Kelly, is Asian parenting versus Western parenting, right? Do you think that many Asian parents just fear of being seen as adopting the Western style of parenting, and therefore, they're a bit stricter with their kids just to maintain a little bit of that Asian culture when it comes to disciplining their kids?
Right.
Because, like what we were talking about just now, like the cane, no. We really don't need to hit our kids, right? Yeah. So in the past, when you don't do that, it means you allow your kids to express themselves a little bit more, ask more questions, and that's exactly how we feel when sometimes we see like a spoiled Western kid, for example,
Right.
just asking questions, expressing themselves freely in public and all that. And the Asian parent goes like, the traditional Asian parent goes like, okay, that's like, where's his manners?
Right.
That kind of thing. But it doesn't necessarily mean it's wrong. Are we heading towards that direction, Kelly?
I think when parents don't know what to do instead, that's when the danger comes in. People then start becoming very, very permissive because they don't know what the alternative is.
Yep.
And I think a lot of times it's not so much like I'm going to hold on to this because I don't want to appear too Western. It's more, I want to please the elders in my life.
Yeah.
I want to make sure they know and they think I'm a good parent. And so I don't want to, let these things slide because it looks like now I'm being permissive. So there's a lot of like performative elements in parenting, I think, where
Right.
we do things because we know other people are watching and how do we want to come across to them. But my take is always, hey, you are here as a parent. It's called parenting. It's not performing for other people.
Yep.
Your first allegiance is to your child. What do you want your child to learn from this? What do you want them to take away?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So is the Asian child more polite than the Western child? Because the Asian child goes up to his or her elders and says, hello auntie, hello uncle. But you don't get that with a Western kid.
Well, greetings. I think greetings are quite universal.
Okay.
I think greeting your elders and all that. I don't think it's just Asian. I have seen Western kids greet each other as well, greet their neighbors as well, not just relatives, but even their neighbors, right?
Yeah. Maybe not necessarily calling them auntie or uncle,
Yes,
but Mrs.
Mr. So and so, Mrs. So and so, yeah. But we do accept that not all kids are the same.
Yes.
Right, and so different strokes for different folks, different things or different strategies may be required depending on the child. What would you say to a parent? Especially when you're teaching them or giving them alternatives, trying to get them not to always just turn to corporal punishment, physical punishment.
Okay,
sorry,
going back
we're
on
coming
it?
on. Okay.
Okay.
Let's do that.
You want me in slow-mo, snap me like a photo. Yo te vuelvo loco, loco. I can't help but you don't wanna wait, okay? Now you've had a taste of creme brulee. Oh no, there goes all of your clothes. Speaking words you don't know. Yo te vuelvo loco, loco.
Kiss 92 traffic.
On the roads right now, just take note, heavy traffic in some areas. TPE towards SLE, slow at Tampines Avenue 7. On the TPE in the opposite direction though, towards PIE, heavy traffic between the KPE exit and Pasir Ris Drive 8. AYE towards Tuas, slow between Jurong Town Hall and Jurong Port Road. CTE towards AYE, heavy at Bradle Road. And finally on the ECP towards Changi Airport, vehicle breakdown before Fort Road exit.
Welcome back to The Big Show and The Big Show TV. I'm not a parent, and yet I'm having such a good time listening to the both of you. Kelly Tay is our guest for today. You can follow her at juicy.parenting on Instagram. All right. And of course, Tim O is here in place of Angel as well.
That's right. And we're talking about parenting. I'm also getting, a lot of information which I require. Hopefully that will I can use over the next few weeks while my son is on school holiday. Oh, help us all. Okay, but we were talking about a different approach to parenting as compared to, say, how we were raised, right? What would you say to parents who go, especially when you're to when you're trying to encourage them to adopt a slightly softer approach, it's easier said than done. Because we've heard that, when you tell them and then they go, it's easier said than done. It works for your kid because your kid is so sweet, You explain to them nicely, they see the error in their ways and then they correct, right? But my son is so different. My son is like, you tell him all the time, I say so sweet, I say in a nice way, I try to explain, he just won't. He won't curb that little monster within him, right? And I've tried everything, I've spoke to him nicely, I've held his hand, I've showed him that loving approach. Nothing seems to work. Only the rotan seems to work, right? I mean, because at the same time, you don't want to dismiss their challenges as well, right? But how do you then try to get them to adopt a different approach, right? Especially when everything that, would work on another parent doesn't seem to work in their case.
Yeah. I mean, the first thing I would say is I'm not special and my kids are not special. We're not able to parent this way because everyone's more compliant. Every child is challenging.
Yeah.
Every child is challenging. It's not to say that some children are not more challenging than others, but the fact is if you feel you have a challenging kid, the hard ways are definitely not going to work and they're going to backfire next time because the fiercer we are and the harsher we are with our kids, the more we push them away. And when that parent-child connection is damaged, it is so much harder to bring them back and to bring that connection back. And for parents who feel that, I've tried everything, I'm like, I guarantee you have not tried everything. And a lot of times when parents say, I've tried being really nice and I've tried speaking nicely and I've offered choices and I've done all the things, I'm always like, okay, maybe you've said the right things.
Yeah.
But has your body language, has your face, has your tone of voice actually conveyed to your child that, hey, I really am on the same team here? Because a lot of times they'll be like, okay lah, you choose lah, red plate or green plate, which one you want, right? And then your child already knows, they're already riled up and they're already starting to get like, they're upset with me.
Yeah.
But if we can do that in a calmer way, then we're kind of, as parents, we're setting the tone and we're saying, hey, you're a kid, I'm the adult, I'm still the authority. I don't really like the word like softer approach because I don't think I'm soft. If you ask my kids, I don't think they would say I'm soft.
Right.
I think the thing I'm going for is I'm firm and I'm very kind.
Yeah.
So instead of being permissive, people often think, this is about being permissive. I'm like, no, if it's time to brush your teeth, it is time to brush your teeth. I'm not going to say it 5 times.
Yeah.
I'm going to tell you what my expectation is, and when it's time to brush your teeth, we're going.
And supposing at that point they don't want to go,
Yeah.
you just go no.
And you are allowed to be upset about it. You are allowed to cry about it.
Yep.
And I'm still bringing you. It's time to still brush your teeth.
Okay.
Same with diaper changing. Same with meal times. And kids. I think when kids go no, parents get very triggered and they're over like, "What did you say to me?
Yes.
You don't get to say no to me."
Because a lot of it, we say no to them too. That's where they learn the word, right?
Especially
It
in
is
public.
true.
Especially in public.
Yes.
Because people are watching and all
It's
that.
very
like-
difficult when you know someone is watching. And
Yeah.
again, you want to perform and you want to be like, well, I'm the parent who's got my stuff together,
Yeah.
And I think in those moments, realizing that it's okay for your kids to say no and it's okay for you to still hold a boundary. Just because they say no,
Yeah.
there are some things as an adult that you still have to take the lead on. I think where people get tripped up is they feel like, well, I've said the thing, they're still unhappy.
Yeah.
We can't tie our success to our kids' happiness.
Right.
They're allowed to be upset with us. Because if we are going to come in and not be permissive and really show the way, we have to be comfortable with, sometimes you're not going to like my decision. When you're older, you get to make your decisions. Right now, my number one job is to keep you safe. That includes brushing your teeth.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, Kelly, how can people get in touch with you if they want to, they want to ask you questions?
Yeah, I mean, Instagram's the best place.
Okay.
I'm in my DMs, so just shoot me a DM.
There you go. @juicy.parenting. Thank you so much, Kelly, for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Look forward to seeing you next week.
Let's talk.
All right. Dahlia from Berita Harian is up next. Meantime, Metro Station. This is Shake It on Kiss. We are back with. Ta-da! Look who's here. It's Dahlia from Berita, Harian.
Hi, morning everybody.
Good morning,
Morning.
Dahlia. Tim, Dahlia, Tim.
Nice to meet you, Dahlia.
Hi.
You know, Tim, our super sub.
And I'm very, very excited because, I'm always looking for new places to go and makan. So, yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so today, maybe we can talk, let me see, how much time do we have, Cheyenne? About 4 minutes. Okay, we can kind of like talk about it a little bit, and then later when we go on the radio, we'll talk about it again.
Okay. So this week's theme is pretty interesting. It's not thematic based on the food, but it's actually based on young entrepreneurs in the F&B industry.
And there's so many now. Huh?
Yes. So we have one actually, Blackgoat. It's actually at Jalan Batu Hawker Centre. So he used to be working in a Michelin star restaurant. In Zen and Burnt Ends, and then we have one more. She's actually a female chef. Her name is Zarifa Rasid, and she sells Italian food. So I think for a female chef in the F&B industry, I would say it's quite rare. It's mostly male dominated. So for her setting, it's a cafe, but I really can't wait to share how both of their offerings are very different, especially for Fikri, where he worked at Blackgoat, and it's really restaurant quality dishes. And I came back to queue, after I did the interview, and guess what? I didn't get to eat.
What?
Oh yes, people start queuing at 5 p.m. and I was there at 7, and they're like, I queued. I was like, there's none for you.
So you made it all the way to the front of the queue and there was nothing
No,
left.
I wasn't at the front. It was like close to the end. So I still had a shot.
All right.
And he just looked at me like, you are too late.
Oh,
and I just tried my
no.
luck texting him like, hey, I'm coming down.
As
It's
in
like
the
my
food
friend-
finished, or you didn't?
No,
They didn't have a table
the
for you.
food finished.
Oh,
It's really just that good.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think I'm gonna try again this
So
time around.
can you like call in advance and just pick up?
Special treatment.
Yeah, no, just go like you're ordering to go.
No.
Cannot.
No.
Okay.
You just have to really like go there and dine in. And I think later when you see the food, you'll know why. And
Right.
it's actually beyond the Muslim demographic as well. It's really restaurant quality at the hawker center, which you would not expect, I would say.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
would this place be able to get a bib gourmand, you think?
Hopefully,
Possible, right?
it's a hidden gem. I think if we talk about it more, it's going to be really very, very good. It's Blackgoat. It's by a 25-year-old guy, and he's studying part-time biomedical engineering at SUSS.
Oh.
Yeah.
We must support him, because
Yes.
if we don't support him, it's so hard for him to keep this going.
Yeah, but there are a lot of customers, so I'm not
Okay,
really...
so shouldn't be a problem.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's the guy on the right. So his name is Fikri. He's 25 this year. So he spent most of his time after graduating from JC working at Zen and Burnt Ends. So you can see his shop is actually non-pretentious at all. It's just really an open concept where he grill all his like Western cuisine, and his, I would say like the menu is pretty seasonal as well. Yeah, and it's not cheap, I would say, but it's really good.
Yeah, but you said this is in a hawker center.
It's a hawker center, in Jalan Batu.
So I mean, what you wouldn't say,
Yeah. Old
it's
Airport.
cheap.
Yeah.
It's more. You'd be paying a lot more
Yeah.
if you were eating this in one of those other fancy
Or
restaurants.
Old Airport Road
Old
hawker
Airport Road,
center.
yeah, near there.
Yeah. So Blackgoat, I'm actually looking at it. It's. Do you know where Tanjong Ru Prawn Noodle is? Off
You know me lah.
Mountbatten Road.
Mr.
Kampung
Never
Kayu.
go to hawker center.
Okay.
Kind of guy.
opposite the main road is Goodman Art Center.
Goodman Arts Center.
You know,
yeah,
Cafe
okay,
Melba, all
okay.
that. Yeah. So you've got Mountbatten Road. On the opposite side, that is where Jalan Batu and all that.
I had
will be.
no idea there was a hawker center there. Is this
Yes.
new? Is this a new hawker center?
I don't really go there. Yeah,
Yeah.
but it's pretty...
Yeah, I'm familiar with the area. It's by Gelang River. Yeah, the river that cuts through, right? Yeah,
Okay.
down there.
I see. Okay, so that's Blackgoat. Blackgoat, and then the fluffy chef is what's the Zarifa?
Zarifa, yes. So she's 29 this year, if I'm not wrong. So she graduated from IT and she moved on to Sunrise Academy. So she actually loved Italian food, and also she always described it as Nonna cooking. So she do have pastas.
Nonna.
Yes,
love.
the touch of an old
Yeah,
grandmother
grandma.
full of love.
I love how her hair color matches the apron.
Yes.
Right.
She's so sweet.
Yeah, she
okay,
is. Okay.
let's go on there.
All right.
No.
Out and all that counts is here and now. My universe will never be the same. I'm glad you came. I'm glad you came.
Kiss 92 Traffic.
On the PIE towards Changi Airport, a vehicle has broken down before Toa Payoh Lorong 1. On the BKE towards PIE, another breakdown after Dairy Farm Road exit, avoid lane 3. CTE towards SLE, heavy traffic at Merchant Road. And on the TPE towards PIE, heavy between the KPE exit and Pasir Ris Drive 8.
Welcome back to The Big Show and The Big Show TV. A big thank you to Kelly Tay for joining us today. And now we have our second guest for this morning, and she is with us every Friday morning from Berita Harian, our favorite journalist, Dahlia.
Hi, good morning.
Good morning, Dahlia. And I understand this morning we are talking about, well, a couple of young chefs, new generation of young chefs who are pushing boundaries as far as the halal food scene is concerned.
Yes.
We were talking a little bit about it, flashing photos on the Big Show TV, but now you, who's not watching us and just listening to us, will get to find out exactly why Dahlia is going to highlight these two new chefs.
Yes. So we're going to talk about these two new chefs, and their restaurants are actually the Fluffy Chef, which is a cafe, and a hidden gem that I would say it's actually Blackgoat, a hawker center at Jalan Batu. So we're going to start off with Blackgoat, my personal favorite.
All right.
And I've shared actually previously that I came down there again to actually dine in, but I couldn't, I didn't have the chance to do so. So it's actually owned by 25-year-old Fikri Ami Rohaimi, and he's actually a part-time biomedical student.
Handsome guy.
Yeah?
But he's very garang,
What do you,
Yeah.
why do you say like that? He's
Handsome.
handsome, but he's very garang.
Yeah,
You
no.
cannot have
Garang,
one
that's
and
what
the
women
other.
like,
I
right?
was like looking forward to interview and seeing him, right? But he was like, you better be on time. Then I was like, oh. This chef is like really trained because he works in like burnt ends and
Yeah.
as well as Zen. So I know he's very, I have to be on the ball. Then I was like, I've
Wow.
never had a newsmaker, be this for
But
me.
you know what they say, right? The grumpier the chef, right?
The better the food.
the
Yes,
food. Look
yes.
at
This guy
your
is so
Gordon
young.
Ramsays and all that.
How come he's so grumpy at this age?
I mean,
Yeah.
hey,
He's 25, right? You're saying?
Yeah,
Dahlia?
25.
25. Okay. I think-
Marco Pierre White was very young, and he was hell of a grumpy too. And
I
look how
thought that
many
was just
stars he
a-
got.
It was just a persona. I
You
met
met him?
Marco as well.
That's because by the time you met
Nicest
him,
guy in the
he's
world.
a nice guy. He's mellowed down.
Okay.
Right.
Okay,
But yeah.
Okay, just look at the food over here. You don't expect this out of a hawker center at Jalan Batu.
Okay.
So right on the left is actually foie gras with steak potatoes and black peppercorn sauce. And with a salad. And the next one,
There
we
was a
actually,
time when I was young where I ate foie gras. These days I don't. But what I like is on the right.
Yes.
Oh, on the right, yes. So it's actually lamb chops crusted with dried rose,
Yeah.
fennel, served on a bed of hummus.
Because I was thinking, right, if you're going to call yourself Blackgoat or Kambing Hitam, you need to have some kambing on the menu, right?
Yeah.
So I'm thinking, is it only kambing or not?
No.
Only lamb?
No, they're actually known for their burgers as well and desserts.
Okay, so beef is great as
Yeah.
well. Okay, all right. So that's Fikri for you. You can go to Blackgoat at 4A Jalan Batu 01-05, and then we haven't spoken about Zarifa yet. Okay, tell us about Zarifa very quickly.
Okay, yes. So Zarifa owns an Italian restaurant at Arab Street. So she's known for her nona cooking, very warm and hearty, and I would say her portion are very generous. So she's pretty known for her gnocchi pasta and her sourdough pizza. Let's say for this is actually, I don't think you can see the color, but they use green pea in the base of the pizza. So they use burrata here.
Ooh,
And
magic word burrata.
yes, delicious. And cannoli. So this is actually so hard for us to find a halal version of it.
Yeah.
So now you can actually have it because most of the time they use lard in the outer
Yes.
shell of it, right?
Right.
So now,
It's
all the
healthier.
listeners, we have that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
healthier and still just as tasty and
Yes.
delicious.
And the pasta, al dente?
Yes.
Al dente.
Nona's recipes.
To hurts. Nona's recipe, but I do get like the love from it lah. In
Right.
terms of the portion and the generous feeling as
But
well.
what's her background again? I mean, where did she learn how to cook Italian?
Okay, so she was trained in ITE and then she went to Sunrise Global Chef Academy and she just naturally loved to cook, Italian food. So I think it's just something that she really loved. Aside from cooking Malay and Indian dishes,
Yeah.
she really wanted to explore this as well.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, and that's at 47 Arab Street, the Fluffy Chef. All right, we've been speaking to Dahlia from Berita Harian. Do you have anything else that we did not cover, Dahlia?
No, that's all.
That's just about it. For those of you who are wondering, what the food looks like and all that, and you're listening to us on the radio, you can check it out on Facebook and YouTube. All right. Thank you so much, Dahlia, for
Thank you.
joining us this morning. And of course, you can catch Dahlia from Berita Harian recommending the best in halal cuisine every Friday morning right here on The Big Show. Thank you so much, Dahlia.
Thank you. Bye.